Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, Reviews for Your Pleasure. I'm Nietzsche.
And I'm Joshua.
And this is episode 18, Never Plan for Anything. And today we are talking about Parasite, the 2019 film that was super great, the most wonderful film. We're going to spoil this entire film for you. All of it. What did it win?
It won 4 Academy Awards.
4 Academy Awards.
4 of them. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best International Feature Film, which is pretty good.
That's pretty impressive, I feel like.
It's pretty good. And it actually won a lot more awards from a lot of different places, but I didn't want to write them all down because I'd be writing for an hour.
Academy Awards is what matters here, okay?
Yeah.
And that's impressive.
First non-English film to win Best Picture.
You know why that is? Because it's a Korean film, and the Koreans are better than everybody else.
What's your favorite thing about Korea, Nietzsche?
My favorite thing about Korean, just in general...
Korea.
Oh, Korea. Is that I have ancestors who came from there and still live there. That's my favorite thing about it.
That's your favorite part.
You like that cop-out answer? The best thing Korea has produced for us is Parasite.
Apparently.
Yeah. What did you think about this? Was it great? Did it meet the expectations of 4 Academy Awards?
Whew. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't dislike this film, but I'm not in love with this film either. I have some pretty mixed feelings about it. There are parts of it I like. I don't know that I'm the right audience for this film.
I mean, it might be a little above you as a white man over here.
It might be. That could be it.
Now, what genre is this film technically in again?
According to Wikipedia, this film is a black comedy film and a thriller.
Now, I understand the latter, and we'll agree with that.
Yeah.
What is black comedy here?
I mean, there's a lot of different names. Some people call it, like, gallows comedy. There's a bunch of stuff. It's generally just, like, it can be satirical in nature. I think it's more like covering taboo subjects. So, like, if you make a joke about something really extreme, a la 9/11... right? That would probably go under black comedy because it's a subject that most people won't touch. So it's just darker by nature. My problem with that is I don't really feel like anything in this film was taboo.
I don't know. I just expected a comedy film because Hulu marketed it as a comedy film.
They did.
I just thought that was the funniest part about it being called a comedy film. Like, how do you fail? I just feel like you gotta put it like a black comedy if that's what you're gonna go with. But a lot of the trailer or whatever reviews were like, this is a satirical movie. And I don't understand what it was satiring, is my problem.
I'm not really sure.
Now, it is a foreign film, so that probably doesn't help us.
Could be lost in translation for us. Maybe we're ignorant. Oh, I mean, the only thing it could really be, like, satirical of is, like, the rich or the poor, I feel like.
I feel like the best thing I can think of is, like, it's satirical on how the rich look down on the poor as they're, like, parasites, basically. And, you know, them living down in the secret basement thing, being a basement dweller, is like, oh, they're a parasite off of the rich people. Like, they just eat the crumbs of the rich people type thing. That's the best I got, but I don't feel like that was actually the point of this film, is my deal. I just feel like it's supposed to be a thriller film. Like, more like a psychological thriller film. And I like psychological thrillers. That was pretty good. I liked this movie more than I thought it would.
Did you?
Yeah. I didn't think it deserved 4 Academy Awards necessarily, but I don't know what it was up against. Anyway, we'll get back to your mixed feelings over here. What was a good part of this film, or a good thing it does?
It really comes down to I didn't know what I was going to be watching, because we watched the trailer many months ago for what the heck this film was even about. And that didn't tell me anything, really, outside of the fact that some guy staggered out of the movie theater because this movie was just so good. That's what that trailer told me. And so I was expecting to just not be able to make it to my room, just falling all over myself. I didn't get that, so the trailer failed me. So I didn't really know what I was going to be watching with this film. I had no idea. And so I went in blind, and I liked the family of, like, criminal aspect of it. I thought that was kind of a neat side. Like, okay, this whole family is a little shady. We're doing some bad things. Until the later half of the movie, they don't commit anything atrocious as far as crimes go, right? But then it starts getting a little messed up. and it kind of falls out of control. And, like, I feel like the thriller aspect of the movie comes in there, where it's like, oh, okay, things have gone south. We don't want to get caught. I think that aspect was pretty good. I liked it.
I basically knew I was in for a thriller ride after he recruits his sister. After Kevin starts recruiting Jessica over there.
Yeah, that's definitely their names.
Look, that's what they call themselves.
True.
I'm not gonna tell them they can't call themselves by, anglicized names over here. But I basically knew that I was in for a thriller thing, and I was like, okay, this is gonna go bad. But we'll see how they handle this. And then it went really bad. Like, just spiraled way, way out of control. And I was like, okay, all right, you win. This is not the super far out of control that I thought this was gonna be.
What were you expecting?
I just thought it'd be kind of standard and like, okay, they get caught and whatever. Like, things didn't go super well, but people were intrigued that, like, it was this weird thing, and people liked that it was kind of different from other films. At least other films that I've seen, but I don't watch a lot of films. I guess we'll just walk through the story. That's what we'll do. We'll walk through. So we start off, and they're all poor and destitute.
Yeah, they can't afford their Wi-Fi bill.
Yeah, I have never been, like, that bad off. I mean, I've lived without Wi-Fi because, I'm that old, and we didn't have Wi-Fi necessarily. But I've never been that destitute where, like, someone comes by and, like, gives you a nice gift, and you're like, nope, could have brought food.
I mean, that's a pretty bad space. I've never been in that situation either. Like, I've lived months where we didn't have a lot, but, like, we ate. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I think it's a good intro into just, like, how poor they are and why their motivation for everything going forward exists.
I looked it up, and so that set, where the, like, apartment they're living in, was created on, like, a studio set. And apparently the director and the writer, like, created a whole backstory for, like, all the residents on the street so that they could create authenticity with, like, it's what was on the street and what it looked like and everything.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a good touch. I kind of wish you had actually done more with that. But I don't really know that we needed more. I feel like this film had enough.
There's the drunkard who's always peeing.
Yeah, at first I thought that was really stupid. I was like, why is this here? But they bring it back around.
Yeah.
And they really make that work.
Yeah.
Right? Because he is kind of the catalyst for their attitude change. They're like so destitute and poor, they're like, why even try? But then as they start to, make their plan work and money coming in, then they care a little more about this guy, urinating next to their stuff, and it's a bigger deal.
They're like, oh, just leave the window open. It's free fumigation. Like, oof.
Yeah, like, that's so bad. That would also go into those cardboard boxes.
Oh, yeah.
You are serving people poison pizza.
Oh, yeah.
But irrelevant. I mean, they got paid. I don't really know why we didn't resolve that ever. Like, of them, like, showing up and trying to get that job still, or showing them, like, we don't need your job, you suck.
Probably would have just been a weird edit moment for the movie.
I don't know. I feel like you could have done something with it because you started it, but that's fine. It still served its purpose. I just think that you should have done something with it. But yeah, it serves the purpose to just kind of hone in how destitute and poor off they are.
Never heard of a job where you fold pizza boxes so that this pizza chain can come and pick them up from you?
Well, that seemed like it was like they were a small business. Like, they only had one spot. They needed some labor. There's a lot of weirdness about, like, how did you know these people? Because it clearly seems like it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I just took it like, okay, this could be a real thing. I assume it is. I've just never heard of it. Now, again, different countries.
But then that gets you to Min, right? Coming in.
Yep, good old Min.
And he comes in and gives them the rock.
Yeah.
Or the soil sample thing. I don't know what that actually was anymore.
Big old stone.
Yeah.
In a fancy box.
Big fancy box.
Yeah. Supposed to be heavy.
It looked pretty heavy.
It did look heavy.
That, starts the turning of their fortunes, basically.
Yeah, because
then they go out for drinks or whatever. Convenience store, I don't know where they were really at.
Looked like
they were drinking.
Looked like a convenience store.
And then he offers him the job. Now, I really needed him to resolve what happens to Min. Because this is the last time you deal with Min. He's just gone.
He just introduces everything.
And then he never comes back. He doesn't have a job when he comes back. I don't know how long he was going away. I don't know anything, really. But that's something where I do think they needed to wrap their ending up a lot tighter with him. But they didn't. But then, he goes over to their kind of weird household.
Now, I learned something else about this house.
Oh, let's hear it.
That I would never have guessed.
Uh-huh.
And this is, I think, I think it shows the quality of some of the team on this movie, in that this house was built on set, but the second floor is non-existent. There's no second floor of this building. That is all done post-production.
They just did it as a separate set?
Interior, but the exterior shots are all done with the computer-generated technology.
That's pretty impressive, because you have the shot of Kevin and Dahi.
Yeah, I mean, you get...
Like, they're up there staring down, and that looks like a real shot from up high.
Yeah, they got all kinds of shots that are pretty good. I never noticed any, CGI components to this film, so that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. That's some pretty impressive, film work. I mean, their shots were good for the most part. In general, I didn't have any issues with them. There were no shots that I was like, wow, it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's a very clear movie. You always know what's happening.
Which is good on them, right? I never had any issues with it, so good on you. You clearly did a bunch of things and it worked. But Kevin has arrived at the house, and wife's doing good. And then he seizes his opportunity, which was interesting. But from there, the film, I feel like, takes off. Up to that point, I was like, okay, what's great about this film, guys?
It's a weird introduction, but again, it's just because I don't know where anything is going. I don't, all I know at that point is, okay, they're poor. Is this about getting out of poverty? Is this movie about finding success? I don't really know. So it was just kind of weird. It's like, okay, you're getting this job tutoring English to a sophomore in high school.
And she's a high school kid. He fools around with her.
Yeah, I was like, okay. That got a little weird. But I guess you do what you gotta do in the life of villainy.
I don't know. I just like that he repeats the same lines that Min says to him.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Buddy, I don't understand what's so great about her, but she's great. She's the best. Really, I just feel like it's because she's rich.
Probably.
I just feel like they're like, oh, she's not terrible. She's rich. Let's do it.
Yeah, tolerable, has money. What more do you need, I guess? But yeah, he does that weird thing in their first lesson where he grabs her wrist to check her pulse, but uses his thumb.
Well, he has his index fingers on it first. But his index finger and his ring or his middle finger are there. But you can't reliably check your pulse with your index finger or your thumb. You can do okay with your index finger, but your index finger still has a pulse.
Yeah, it's just a weird... Now, I'm guessing that's meant to convey that he doesn't really know what he's doing, but neither do they, so...
It was definitely a show of, he's in control and he knows what he's doing and he's got a plan, right? He's got a method, and so she'll just leave him alone.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. This movie is fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Okay?
It's true.
And I appreciate that. I feel like they really sold that they were faking it and doing a good job with it. And it really worked. I like the scenes where they're, doing the script that they've wrote out and stuff. I was like, dang.
They're really going all in.
Well, it just sold something that I didn't necessarily think was missing at the time, but was missing. It was how'd you guys plan all this out? You guys just have all this figured out and you're doing your thing? And no, you wrote scripts and you acted this out with each other. Your emotions up here, I need to be down here. Just nonsense. I was like, wow, that's impressive. That's some dedication to your, newfound craft.
I feel like if you're going to put in that much work, you could just get an actual job that's not taken under false pretenses. But,
The false pretenses thing is just I don't understand why you couldn't have just been oh, we're related. Would that have been that bad? Be oh, yeah, my sister, she, did this stuff and, she's really cool and has this art degree thing or whatever. Maybe she could help.
You could probably do it for that. When it comes to the dad and the mom, though, that starts to get a little weird.
I don't know, I really like working for you guys. Oh, you guys need a driver now? My father does driving. I don't know. Maybe it starts to feel really, really coincidental and maybe you get caught, but you got caught anyway, so
They did kind of get caught.
Yeah, the ending is not as clear as it needed to be. That's kind of the theme here. I would have rated this movie higher than I'm going to rate it, but the ending just really dropped it down.
Yeah.
But anyway, back on the story point here. Jessica is now involved.
Yeah, she comes in. She's an art teacher she went to Chicago art school. The mother, Choi, was, she seemed like, oh, wow, that's really prestigious. So, I guess it's well known. And so the sister comes in, acts like she's a know-it-all. She's a big shot. She's like, yeah, you can't come in here with me. I have to have this alone session with your son, Da-sung, and then we're gonna have these private lessons. And then she's like, oh, there was definitely something tragic in his past, huh?
Well, she's his first grade, though. She's looked into it, I feel like, or knows.
Oh, probably. And then, I don't really know how she would know.
That's my deal. Like, she guesses it on the ball, though.
Unless she, talked to the kid and he said something.
Maybe. That could be it. That's a fair... I'd take that reasoning. I'd move on from that.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, okay, well, this traumatic incident in first grade, I'm going to have to give him art therapy. I'm going to need 4 lessons a week, 2 hours.
My fee's pretty steep.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay me a lot. It's really important. And the mom just eats it up. Like, yeah, exactly what he needs. Good idea.
But the acting on, her actress, playing kind of the 2 different sides of her character is really good. But her, acting up, how important and cool she is and how knowledgeable she is, it really sold it to me. I was pretty sold by a lot of these performances. I was like, man, you guys are pretty good.
I do think the acting was good. Biggest problem with it is that it's hard to know with voice because I don't understand the language. I know you do, but I don't. And so there's just certain times where I'm like, I don't know if this delivery is supposed to be X or Y. I just don't know. So I can't really judge it completely. But from the facial expressions and the tones that I would associate with what's being said, as far as the subtitles go, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it matched the tone of what they were going for. I don't think there was any weird inconsistency in it where I was like, well, this seemed like this, but maybe it was this or something. I was never left to question what I should be thinking or feeling about these lines. But Jessica's a great actress.
Yeah, and
she hands it up.
And then she plays a little prank on their chauffeur. Little itty bitty prank.
That was so weird. Because I thought she was just preparing to have sex with him and then get him fired that way. I didn't think she was just gonna leave the panties in there. Because I was like, what? I don't know. But then, the implication of it really, I was like, oh, that makes way more sense when you get to the actual exposition by the father.
It's clever and a little weird.
I mean, it's weird. She's clearly a little diabolical about it, right? She has a lot of cunning plans together. And I'm like, whoo, woman, that was...
Well, she's also behind the forgery of, documents and
stuff.
Oh,
yeah, she is a criminal through and through.
Heck yeah, let's go.
But yeah, I was like, wow. That was really well laid out. The plan of it. I was really invested after that. I was like, man, that's really good. I don't know how you're going to do the rest of this. I was really intrigued.
Yeah, and then, oh, look. Yeah, I definitely know a driver. Great. Here we go. And, so we get the father up in here as the new chauffeur.
Yeah, he's doing really good for a while.
Yeah, he's not crossing those lines.
He definitely doesn't cross the line till the end, I guess. That was a weird deal to me where I was like, I don't understand where the line is. Now, I fail to understand where the line is in American culture to start with. So in a different culture, I'm probably completely lost anyway.
Well, I mean, the line is defined by individuals, so...
Yeah, but, he made it sound like there was, a professional standard that he should know.
I don't know. I felt like it was more of, a relationship between a chauffeur and whoever he's given the ride to, and then, the boss relationship within that. There always being kind of standards, and then you're interacting with the whole family, so there's going to be some level of standards there. Professionalism for an upper class citizen, there's probably a lot of different layers to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really understand, but he was flirting the line perfectly, and that was whatever. That was interesting. And then we take it another step up though. And I was like, wow, how are you going to get this woman fired? Because you knew it was coming, right?
Yeah.
You knew that, their live-in housekeeper woman had to get fired so their mother could come in. And you're like, all right, let's see it. And I'm like, wow. The foreshadow where they're eating the pizza and they squirt the hot sauce on there.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get that, but I really liked it after it happened. I was like, good callback. That gave relevancy to a scene that didn't feel very relevant. A lot of things work in retrospect in this film. Like, some of the things that are weird work really well once you get somewhere else. But
yeah, they come back.
That whole, story of that and how they planned that out was really good, though.
Yeah, they go to a lot of lengths. And then, this is where I feel like things start to get, pretty bad on their part, though, when you're like, oh, she's allergic to peaches, pretty severely. So we're gonna get some peach fuzz and throw that on her.
In her face. Right in her face.
And it's like, woo! That's pretty messed up. I get you're not trying to kill her, but...
You could kill this woman,
It's pretty dangerous what you're doing, so things are getting kind of dark there. And they only get a little bit darker, so...
I was just like, wow, how did you even find out that she was allergic to peaches? Crossed some line somewhere. You found some documents that you shouldn't have found. Someone needs to keep their security a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was like, wow. So you basically almost killed this woman multiple times. And then you act like, she's coughing up blood. That was pretty jacked up.
Yeah, they convince the mom of the Park family that she has tuberculosis, of all things. So, definitely a little dastardly, but it works. They get their mom in. I like how it happened where they're in the car and Mr. Kim's giving Mr. Park the card. And it's like, oh, this is a nice card. You can tell.
It did look like a nice card, though.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, okay. And they call him up, and then they're asking, we're going to need to see all this information. And I don't know that any of that was necessary, but...
I thought maybe they were going to try and steal some of their information and steal money out of their accounts and stuff is what I thought was going to happen with that.
Yeah, I was like, this is a lot of information. I thought we were going to, use that in some way.
No, they just went with it. And I was like, okay, whatever. Some of that information seems pretty reasonable. How many people are in your household, how big it is.
Sure.
How much can you afford? That was pretty jacked up. That was pretty awful. But then they, continue down their path of debauchery. Just doing some awful things, though. But they go camping first.
Yeah, for the son's surprise birthday. Well, it's not really a surprise. It's just his birthday.
Yeah, so that he, cannot be in the house stuffing his face full of cake and as the, ghost basement dweller comes up.
Let me say, that is the one scene in this movie that is kind of creepy, though. Just his eyes are, bulging out. What is that? That is a creepy scene.
The contrast and the lighting on that scene is really good because you can just barely see his head rise above.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bald look. It's kind of like what you got going on, except not curly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's just that little bit up there, and it just kind of peeks through a little bit, and then his eyes are contrasted so well on camera that they pop.
Yeah, it's a creepy look. I feel like as an adult, if I'm downstairs at night and I look out to my right, I'm looking out the window, and I see that, I'm gonna be a little freaked out. What is happening? I'm about to die.
I wasn't unsettled by it personally, but yeah, in real life, that'd be creepy.
Yeah.
That's a nice little backstory to that. Now, we don't know about him yet, right?
No, not yet.
Yeah, we don't know that he's the basement dweller kid.
No, we're getting drunk out of our minds.
Yeah,
as a family.
Weird.
Just a family gathering in the living room. We're all here. The owners are out of town, so we're just living it up.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? You're poor and impoverished, and now your life's going good. You're on a high. You've made it, right?
Yeah.
So why not just take it a step further and steal their food and alcohol and just, man.
But they took so much that I'm like, if they do an inventory, they're gonna realize something, right?
But the maid is the person who deals with everything, it looked like. I didn't see anybody open a cabinet or do anything, really,
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just that convenient for them.
I don't know that they were thinking that far ahead. But they started, Like, I feel like they were definitely drunk. And there were just weird things coming out of their mouth. The family was going to come home. I felt pretty confident about that. Like, it had to go wrong. I thought, oh, maybe this is where you get caught and things go bad. But then it's not exactly that. Because she comes in.
Well, the old caretaker.
Yeah, the old character, gets her way in. And I don't know why the first question out of your mouth when she comes back is, what did you forget? Nope. Not asking that till she's in the door.
Yeah.
Would you like to come with me? Not really, you creepy, murderous woman. She did seem like she was about to murder them.
She was acting kind of creepy. I was like, I wouldn't trust her. I would have been like, nah, I'm not letting you in.
I feel like you're completely justifiable to be like, no, you can't come in.
Yeah, like, there was no reason you had to let her in. You could have just been like, no, I don't have permission from the owners to let you in, so I'm just gonna keep you out. Come back another time.
You just you stick with your lie, is what you do. And you go, well, madam said that you had tuberculosis, and I don't know about that. You don't have to necessarily say tuberculosis. You have some disease or something. Said you coughed up blood. And
well, the story is that she quit.
That's what she has told, what's his name?
Mr. Park.
Mr. Park. Okay, that's what his wife has told him. But she says that she dismissed her. She'll come up with some reasons and dismiss her, and she won't mention the tuberculosis.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that she wouldn't tell the new caretaker about it, right? Like, she coughed up blood. I don't know.
It's kind of just gossiping at that point, though.
And she seems like someone who would gossip.
She does. She's definitely one of those people.
There's so many excuses you could have made up, though, right? Like, they said no one can come in, or I don't trust that. You don't work here anymore. Like,
yeah,
seems a little weird.
She did not need to come in.
You were rushed out. Like, why were you rushed out? Like, there's so many red flag situations that even if you were actually a new caretaker, you probably wouldn't let this person in.
Absolutely not. Just showing up in the middle of the night, looking all creepy. Nah, it's not happening. But they're crazy. Maybe they're drunk. We're gonna let her in. And then things get bad from there on. Things get real bad.
Yeah, when she finds out they hit her husband down there and...
She hasn't come back up. And they're like, okay, I better go see what's going on down there. And she's like over here, tucked up between the wall and, they had like dried plum stuff.
Yeah, it's just like a cabinetry shelf.
Yeah, and trying to push this. And it's like, what the heck is going on? And then it's like, okay, well, help me. They help her, or Miss Kim, she comes in, helps her, move it. And then it's just this creepy tunnel with like green lights. Makes it look like a torture chamber down there. And we start walking down here, and the rest of the family idiotically is following. That's just a bad move. And then go down there and see that her husband's been living under the house for like 4 years.
Yeah, like 4 years, 3 months or something.
It's like, okay, that's kind of crazy. That's not good. And so he hasn't ate because nobody knew about it. Brung him down a banana, which he eats kind of weird. I don't know if you paid attention to the way he ate it.
He was eating kind of ravenously at the end there.
Yeah, it was a little like, okay, kind of gross, but that's fine. And so it's just this whole situation. And she's like threatening her, or Miss Kim starts threatening her because obviously this is just bad information. Don't want anything getting out. It's just weird. And then the rest of the family falls down the stairs like idiots. I don't remember who tripped. Somebody did.
Whoever was in the back.
And then they fell. They all get caught. Now the old caretaker, Moon, she's quick. She got her camera out on her phone, recorded it, and I guess instantly was like, I'm going to send this. Gotta do what I say. And I immediately was like, why wasn't the first thing you did not to just grab that phone and take that away? That should have been your first instinct.
They were shocked, and they didn't think they could get there in time. Or the direction of the scene should have been her thumb, like, over the send button the whole time. Because it wasn't, right? And if I just rush at you while you're holding your phone out like a moron, the likelihood that it gets sent seems low.
Yeah.
Right? And at that point, I'm drunk, and I'm probably willing to risk that. That did seem a little unbelievable, but the shock of, like, someone is living under here, and this is a crazy situation, just kind of overrode how kind of stupid that ended up being.
Yeah.
In my world. I was just like, okay, that's fine. You added some complexity to this situation to add it, and it works right now. And they're just lording their power over them, though.
Yeah, then you get a weird scene. So they're back up top in the normal living room. And the Park, or the Kim family, all have their arms raised in the air, which would actually probably be pretty exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Moon and her husband are on the couch doing some weird stuff. And then she starts, like, acting like Kim Jong-un. And I was just like, okay, that's a direction, I suppose. Just acting kind of crazy. It was pretty funny. That might be the one scene that's actually kind of comedic.
No, it's still weird to me. It's kind of funny to make fun of, I guess. But I don't know that I like, thought it was that funny in scene. I was just kind of like, what is happening? You are all crazy. You were all bad people, and you're all crazy.
Yeah, it definitely was like, okay, we're in bad company, I guess. Misery loves company, as they say. But that happens, and then they finally decide that we can rush her for the phone.
They were distracted, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was distracted.
I'm glad it finally happened, though. I was like, okay, at least we made the play that makes the most sense. Get the phone out of play. So that happens. It becomes a huge tussle, and then they get pretty bad, and like the daughter, Jessica, went and got some peaches and came back and started rubbing them all over.
So this woman has to die, right? Like, they're so terrible.
And it's like, oh God. And then they finally separate them and, like, tie them up, bring it back
the phone
down.
rings.
Yeah.
Right, that's the important point. The phone rings, and they've already kind of won their way on top, because there's 4 of them. And so then they deal with that.
Yeah, and then we get the information. The family's coming back. As we knew. We knew this was coming, I feel like. And it's like, okay, do you know how to make whatever they called it? In the translation, it was called Ram something.
Ramdan, I think.
Ramdan? I guess that's not real. That's an original word for the screenplay. There's an actual word for what they were making in Korean, but they used a translation to try to convey meaning.
It looked like it was ramen and udon noodles with like some sauce or something and
some meat. Yeah, no, you pretty much got it. That was what they meant to convey, so.
Yeah, that's my deal. I feel like this conveyed itself well, even though I didn't know what that was.
Or they're coming back, and they're like, do any of you know how to make this? Of course not.
Well, I didn't know that anybody asked. She's like, what is this?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And I think that's the only line, and I kind of felt like she was asking the former caretaker, who then would relay that information, but she's basically about to enter anaphylactic shock. I'm almost positive. So
she's doing all right. Don't worry. She'll be okay.
She does miraculously live for way longer than she should have.
True. And so they start getting these people back to the basement and cleaning up. And with that, it's getting pretty tight. They only got like 8 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah, from the call.
Yeah, from the call to get everything situated. So they're starting to hide. Oh, the son had went up and got the diary of his girlfriend over there.
Yeah.
And
that's what you do.
Yeah, just start reading that. That seems like a good idea. Now his reasoning was like, that way I can get to know her better. Basically, how can I manipulate this person more accurately? I mean, it's a good plan, I suppose.
Because he's a creep.
Yeah, definitely. And so we're doing this. They come back. Everyone's kind of spread and hid across the house. And so it's just an awkward situation for everybody. You really don't want to get caught, because you can't really answer this in any good way at this point. There's no good answers for why you're here.
I was hiding under your daughter's bed because I had her diary and I had to return it.
Yeah.
I'm not a creep. Don't fire me. All good.
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure her English was still going well in her diary. Yeah, it's a terrible situation. So they get back, everyone's hidden, and they gotta get out of the house. So to do that, we gotta go Metal Gear Solid. We gotta get super sneaky.
I don't know how sneaky they really were, but yeah.
And so basically it ends up all of them under the coffee table in the living room.
A big coffee table.
It's a pretty big coffee table.
I don't know that's like really a coffee table at that point, but yeah.
Yeah, well, whatever. And they're all hiding under that, and Mr. Park and Miss Park come down because their son, Tasong, is wanting to, sleep outside in his cool Indian tent, like Native American Indian tent.
Yeah, like
from America, specifically.
Yeah. There's a lot of from America things.
Yeah.
It's really important because from America meant quality.
Yeah, I really respect that.
It is really interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. And so it comes back to the kid being outside, and so the parents, of course, are going to sleep on the couch to watch over him. And then they start getting into some, like, foreplay. And I'm like, oh, God, this would be pretty awkward. Pretty awkward indeed.
It looked awkward. It felt kind of awkward. And you're just like, I feel like you captured how this family feels right now. They're just like, come on.
Yeah.
Because it's a weird scene, and I didn't really need it, but I feel like because it captures the emotional tone of the family, and I feel like conveys how they feel to the viewer, I feel like it worked.
The conveyance of the scene is what sells the scene because you feel like you're part of the family.
Yeah, I feel like I'm waiting for these people to be done and moving on. What? No, just go to sleep. You don't want to have any sexual activity right now.
Yeah, and it's just...
The best line, though, is where he's like, do you still have those cheap panties that we found in the car?
That really get me going. Like,
get me really hard. I think is the translation we got.
Like, okay, sir.
It's so bad.
That I thought was pretty funny.
That was funny. That was legitimately, like, funny and weird all at the same time.
Yeah. And so finally they fall asleep. And they're like, okay, time to get the hell out of here. Going back to Mr. Sneak mode. And so the two kids get out down the stairs. And then the father's trying to slip away, but he's a bigger guy. And, he's a little bit slower. And of course the kid decides to send a call with his walkie-talkie. Emergency. And this is the shot where I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, I can both believe that they wouldn't notice him on the floor over there, and it's still kind of hard to believe. Like, oh man, he's just far enough out of view where it's like, okay, I can kind of believe this, but it's still like, you have to turn your eyes just a few degrees and you see this kid.
Yeah, but they just got woken up by their son, and they're frustrated, I'm sure.
Could you imagine what you're feeling as the father there in that situation? You're like, he's smart and just stays completely still, plays it cool. But man, that must have been heart pumping. Like, oh God, this is bad. It was a bad situation.
Yeah, you're really regretting your poor choices at this point.
Yeah, you're
if we can just make it through, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's palpable. It's right there.
Yeah, like, it is a good tension scene. And so they go back to bed without noticing him. He gets downstairs, and then they start walking home. And the tsunami that's coming through, holy crap.
Yeah, it's like monsoon rain status, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
We don't even see rain that bad here most of the time.
Yeah, and so they come back. Their apartment is just flooded. Absolutely flooded. They're kind of screwed. My favorite part of that is when the daughter just sits down on the toilet that's just exploding black water.
Sewage water.
Yeah, and then she just takes out some cigarettes and is like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to sit here.
Well, her first thing to salvage was cigarettes.
Smart.
And then she's like, whatever, I'm going to watch the world burn. Like, I can't do anything else at this point. I'm going to watch the world burn. Yeah, it made sense. She also came across as pretty callous and uncaring often.
Yeah.
And so it seemed pretty fitting.
Yeah.
As like, yep, you would be the watch the world burn person.
Yeah, so the son grabs this cool rock.
Which is somehow floating, by the way.
It's hollow. That's why it's so heavy, obviously.
Yeah, maybe it was just a shot. Maybe he was picking it up. But it looked like it was floating, and he picked it up because it was there. I
just figured it was originally like on a table or something, and the water wasn't high enough when he first got there that it would be super submerged. So it seemed like it was probably about right.
I don't know. That was a weird detail where I didn't need that to come back.
But he gets his rock.
Yeah, he gets his rock that clings to him.
And the father's grabbing some things or trying to grab some stuff. And then they get out of there and go to a shelter for the night. And at this point, they're probably thinking to themselves, wow, this is a pretty shitty day.
You're having a pretty crap day. You were having a great day.
Yeah.
Your life is going so good. That is the sharpest, most exponential downfall possible.
Yeah, and whew, what a 24-hour ride. The son and father have a little bit of a conversation about not having plans. Because if you don't have a plan, then your plans don't fail.
Yeah, following his, conversation of what his plan was to do with the fact that he left a woman having a massive allergic reaction and her husband duct taped to some piping.
What are we going to do about that?
That he magically gets out of, by the way, rather quickly, because Da-sung sees him doing his Morse code thing. Stupid, because we never did anything with it.
With his, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We bring up the Morse code again later. But yeah, with the kids, we don't do anything with it. And I thought for sure we were. But nope, a little weird. And so it's the morning, and they're having another birthday party.
They're having a real birthday party now.
Yeah, this time it's a cool, fancy one in the backyard. And we're going to make some swan wings or whatever the hell it was out of the tables.
That felt like she was spouting nonsense.
Yeah.
To spout nonsense.
Yeah, it was a little ridiculous, but I feel like it was fitting for her character. Getting everything set up, and they're inviting over, the tutors, and so they gotta show up.
Yeah, they need Mr. Kim to come do some driving. You really hone in on the smell thing at that point.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
Yeah, they keep bringing up how Mr. Kim has a smell to him.
Yeah, the poor people smell.
Yeah, like the
basically.
subway.
Like, you're the dregs of society smell.
Oof.
Which is, it's fitting.
It makes sense. They were letting fumigation into their house. They probably have some smells up in there.
Yeah, but I don't understand why the other two don't smell. Or why, the other three, don't smell. I don't really, they say, oh yeah, they smell the same, but nobody complains about other people smelling.
But they're not in the car.
I guess, nobody can buy some cologne or perfume?
Too expensive.
They make good money at that point.
Yeah, but they're not the type of people who would probably buy something like that.
I don't know. I sidetracked it. Everybody's got to be there, right?
Yeah, so we all show up.
And then, you stupidly need to separate yourselves and do your thing. Go make out with your, teenage girlfriend.
As one does.
And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. You guys can do your stuff.
Yeah, I guess we should say at this point that the mom, when everybody was trying to get out, had knocked Miss Moon down the stairs.
She had blood on her, though.
Yeah.
As she's sitting there. So she's having a massive allergic reaction.
Yeah.
Potentially in shock. And you knocked her out, and you're drawing blood somewhere, neck, head, somewhere. Still, I do not believe she lived from there.
It's a little unbelievable, but
and then
whatever.
She lived long enough to say, the woman's name. Yeah, Chung-suk.
So she dies.
Yeah, so she's dead down there.
In front of her husband.
Yeah, who then magically gets out.
Yeah, he gets out somehow.
He's got, duct tape, all the way up his body.
Yeah, and, she had tried helping him get out, but, not for nearly enough to have made a difference.
She made, a little nick up there.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think that was enough, but okay. And so he gets out, he starts banging his head against the lights.
Yeah, so he's got brain damage at this point.
Oh, yeah, he's just... he's smashing his head. Got a big old cut on there. He's bleeding pretty bad. He's not looking too pretty at this point. This is where things get, pretty bad for them.
Yeah, but I feel like it escalates to a nice point, right? It just escalates where, Mr. Kim has now crossed the line, clearly, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was it conveyed that he had crossed the line well. And so things are already, not going great. He's not, having the greatest makeout session with his girl over there. How sad, because he's got all this stuff on his mind, and he's got to go down and check on them now.
Yeah, he feels compelled.
And
with his rock.
Yeah, with his rock that clings to him.
Yeah.
That was the stupidest line. I don't get it. Crazy basement dweller has orchestrated a plan, assuming their kindness will come down there. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he's locked down there, because they took the axle or whatever.
It's like a handle.
Yeah, the handle on the wheel. I'm like, okay. So you're there, and he makes it out, I guess. I wasn't really sure if that was just a wire thing, or if it actually loosened, or tightened on his neck. I wasn't exactly positive what that was.
The boy goes down, he drops the stone.
Yeah, like an idiot.
Yeah, just, at that point, you definitely don't go down. You're like, well, game's up. But he goes down anyway, and then he sees the body of Moon over there, and he's like, oh, God. Are you okay? So he goes to check on her, and the guy sneaks up behind him with a wire, shaped like a noose that throws around the head.
It's just a loop. I don't.
Yeah,
know. I don't know if it's a wire. It seemingly is a wire, but it flows behind him when he's running like it's a rope.
I wasn't 100% sure, so he puts it around his neck, prizes him, and I thought, are you just gonna strangle him with this? Which would have reminded me of a scene from a book I've read, and so I was kind of interested in a way. But that's not what happened. He kind of drags him over there by the neck and puts this handle at the end of the cord that the loop's on.
It's already been there, yeah.
In between two pieces of pipe or whatever it was. And then it looked like he was going to go over there and clobber him or kill him.
He trapped him because he turned it so you couldn't get out.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest. It's a pretty primitive method, but it worked in shock, I think, really well. And then he's attempting to kill him, but he fails.
Kid escapes.
Yeah, he gets out, and then he gets, hit in the head at least twice.
Yeah, well, he gets caught at the last second as he's leaving the basement.
Yeah, but there's no blood out yet, right? You'd have to convince me that he hit his head so hard that there's so much blood coming out that it looks black. From that hit? I don't believe that. He got hit with the rock.
Well, no, I know that he did, but I'm saying before he got hit, he was almost out.
He was out.
But
his leash wasn't out, though.
Yeah, he got caught there at the last second and then got freaking smashed.
At least twice. He's got to have gotten hit twice with this rock. And there's so much blood escaping.
I thought he was dead for sure.
There's no way he lived through that.
I was just like, he's dead.
This is where the ending really killed itself.
Yeah, I was just like,
Because he lives
2 hits of this rock.
And he just lets gravity fall it down, too. He's just like, boom.
Yeah, like, there's no way. Well, okay, this kid, you think he's dead. He's not, but we'll get back to that. And then he goes upstairs and grabs a knife.
Yeah, he looks psychotic and crazy, though. I really liked how he looked.
Oh, he looked like he was about to go on a killing spree. And he tried.
Yeah, and then he goes and kills that girl. I knew she was going to die there. Like, I felt very confident that someone was going to kill her. I wasn't positive that we were going, like, basement dweller was coming up to kill everybody.
You thought the daughter was going to die?
Oh, yeah. From the moment that they said, we're going to go out and attack, fake attack her, I was like, oh, she's dead.
Oh, I see.
She's dead. There's no way. It's going to be unintentional, is what I thought. I was wrong. It was very intentional.
Yeah.
And not from, it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. Yeah, which was good. I felt like I tried to predict some things and I didn't get it.
He just walks up, stabs her right in the chest.
Yeah, takes advantage of the shock of people.
Yeah.
Bam.
Pretty brutal.
That's pretty crazy. I was like, wow, that's horrific, buddy. I'm engaged. I want to see you go on and just murder some more people.
And he tries.
Yeah, he tries to kill the wife, or Chung-suk.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he fails. He gets murdered by her, basically.
Yeah, because he, grabs the sis kebab skewer thing.
It looked like a sword, though. It looked like a sword with meat on it.
It just stabs it into his side.
Yeah, implies that it's pretty hot.
Probably is.
And then stabs it into him, so you got, the smell of burning flesh coming up now, and...
Yeah, not a great situation for him, but he's probably going to be dead anyway, so...
Yeah, but I just like that, good old Mr. Park is like, nope, this other girl doesn't matter. My son matters more. That's a very believable thing, right?
Yeah.
That sucks, but I don't care about this girl because my son is going to die.
Yeah, I need the keys.
But then that was the mistake. Because it really sells it, right? He unintentionally said, your child is not important. You've seen, Kevin over here getting carried out by his girlfriend. And so both of your kids look like they are dead, basically. Life is bad. Your wife's not looking real good. And then this guy has the smell reaction. And it's over. Once he had the smell, he was like, oh man. Yeah, I was like, he's dead.
Yeah.
He is 100% dead.
Yeah, and then he just takes the knife that was used to kill his daughter and just stabs it into the back of Mr. Park.
That was an intense few minutes, though. It was just like, wow. Yeah. Wow, buddy. I'm feeling this.
It was definitely a good build-up to the moment. And the moment, I think, in and of itself pays off well. The logistics of how people survive and some of the situations afterward, a little less so.
Everything afterward is kind of crap. He gets away. I like that we bring back that she cut the cord.
Yeah.
They don't even ask you to remember that. They just show that the camera was cut in a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I remembered that it was cut. Yeah. I was engaged. I was like, oh yeah. That was a good detail for why she appeared, and it sold itself.
Yeah, it plays into the story well.
Him thinking to use the, basement thing, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's believable.
What happens to this girl's body? I don't know. Why you're living down there with a dead body? For how long? How long does it take for you to be able to remove her? Did you eat her? I don't know. There's some craziness you could have done with that. You didn't do it. That's a detail I needed you to resolve, though. Right? I needed you to resolve that. You didn't resolve that.
If he had started eating her, that would have been interesting.
It'd been horrific, dude.
That'd be crazy. I'm like, woof. That's bad.
He's like, oh, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get food again. I might have to dissect this woman and just...
It'd be a good story beat, but... yeah.
Be horrific. Be good. But we sold all the darkness on that, and I was fine. Then you find out, oh, Kevin's alive. How? How in the world?
Yeah.
Not believable.
Now has a good dissing where he just laughs all the time.
That was like a shock thing. He says he didn't laugh when he watched the news of the things that came, like the news about it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It was like a shock coming out of it. Apparently it's common. I don't know. I don't work in a hospital.
But we found out his sister is definitely dead.
She's dead.
She's gone.
But then we get into like, he's obsessed with this house.
Well, first, him and his mom are given probation.
I assume that is for forgery of documents and things.
So, the mom did kill the guy, but it's self-defense, so I guess that's fine. But otherwise, yeah, they have like trespassing, forgery, some other things. I'm like, you're only getting probation? That just seems a little extreme. Like,
well, they said that you should be fortunate that this happened. I feel like maybe it's that they, as the Parks family, don't want to make a big scene because they're already getting bad publicity, and they're just like, okay, whatever, we're leaving, we're not interacting with you, we're done.
Maybe.
Right? Because they seem to like to sweep a lot of things under that rug.
Yeah, if you don't,
right?
They want to hide the bad.
And so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It was a little weird. I didn't really understand why that happened that way, but it did. Whatever.
Yeah, I would have liked just a little bit more detail there at the end of explaining what the consequences would have been or should have been. I don't know. Like, it needed a little bit, like another minute or two.
Yeah, it needed a lot of things to tie itself up in the end, but it really doesn't. Because then, yeah, he's obsessed, and the German people have moved in.
Yeah, and then so he goes up onto a mountain, sees that his dad is conveying a message through Morse code, which I like that they brought that back.
Yeah, I like they bring it back with the same light.
Yeah, and like the line earlier was like, anybody of your age should still know Morse code.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, particularly because my grandfather was in the Korean War and knew Morse code and played a part in like stopping a train in the Korean War and like some crazy stuff. The setting is Korea and like Morse code. Like, it's just kind of an interesting relation to part of my family.
They bring that back as the Morse code thing, and that's fine. It seems really fortuitous that that's his last letter that he's going to send out, because he's been sending out all these letters, I guess. Also, that's risky business. Like, no one gets up in the middle of the night and is like, man, I gotta pee, I need a drink of water. Like, never? In the time you've sent these letters?
That light's acting a little weird. Better replace it.
Let me call someone. I don't know. It just seemed a little weird to me. Like, the logistics of how that really worked. But then he writes a letter back.
Somehow.
And well, I'm not doubt that he wrote the letter.
Yeah,
I just don't understand how he sent the letter.
The only thing I could imagine is if it's actually written and like you're watching for the German family to be gone, and then you go in, you leave the message because you know that's probably when the dad's going to come out to get food because he has to eat and sustain himself. So you leave the message at like the fridge or something there, and that's how it gets in. Like, it's not necessarily impossible.
Yeah, it's not impossible, but he, like, looks like he's writing it out in Morse code. So
like,
I don't know how you display that back.
Electrical currents sent back to the dad.
Yeah, I just don't, like, I don't
know.
That detail needed to resolve itself, because it's really pivotal for the ending. Because he's, he went to college and university. He's gonna do the whole thing and get married, except he doesn't look like he gets married.
Yeah,
Miss that detail. Just leave the line out.
Well, he's still looking, one day.
But then he's rich. Like, he's rich.
Yeah, he made money.
And I don't know how. I don't know what his major was in. I don't know what he's done with his life. I don't know how long it's passed.
How hard was it for him to get accepted into an institution with a criminal background?
There's a lot of things about that just, like, they don't sell it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's disappointing, because I think before that, things were going really good for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just fumble the last, 5 minutes.
Yeah, you just drop the entire ball.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Because, then he buys the house and he walks out.
And there's Dad.
And it's the happy ending for the fugitive and his criminal family.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
I appreciate that, it wasn't like, wow, you got caught and it sucks. Or like, wow, you got away with it. Right? You didn't really get away with it. One of your family members is dead. The other one's a fugitive who can't leave this property, basically.
Yeah.
Not
a great situation, regardless.
You're still stuck in the slums, with your mother. Well, that sucks.
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting ending. A little bit more details would have made it just so much better.
Yeah, I would have rather you just ended with, like, him murdering Mr. Park credit roll. You just let the tension sit at the real high point and you're done.
No release.
You walk away.
That would have been interesting.
It's risky.
It's really risky.
But I would have loved it.
I don't know. I don't know that would be necessary. I think it would have been alright, but I think I would have liked it less.
No, I would have liked it so much more.
I like resolution. It's important to me.
I think that resolves everything we built up in the movie. It doesn't give me all the answers, but it clearly wasn't trying to.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's fine. This was trying to give me some answers, and it didn't give me enough of anything. Right? There is inherent failure in how it actually ended. Versus if it ends there, there's no failure. There's just a stylized choice. That you like or don't like. I personally like it.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have been for me. But it is what it is. That's not what we got.
I was actually engaged in a lot of this movie. I was impressed. I was actually like, man, what's gonna happen? Where are we going? What's going on, guys?
The movie is engaging. It's pretty simple in its nature.
People are deceptive and they get their way in and then things go bad.
Yeah, it's very simple, but it's done in a way that it is engaging. You're interested to see what's going to happen and how they're going to do the infiltration in the first place. And so I do think it does a good job with that. I like that part of the movie. I just think the details at the end are bad, and I think the setup is a little weird.
No, the setup works in retrospect. It's a little not engaging at the start, but it is fine when I look back on it. What also helps sell their movie is that the audio is good. Like, all the way through. There's no moment where the audio isn't just matching the mood. And it's not impressive. It's not like, wow, you reinvented the wheel. But this is a case where you just did your job right, and we're done, right? I walked away not being bothered by it.
The only time I noticed the music was at the final birthday party when the tension was finally
they really sold it.
building. That's when I could hear the music and I felt it. The rest of the movie, I don't even know that I could. Like, if you played any of that music, I would not be able to tell you where that's from.
That's fair, but it rises, right? That music is there for a while and it slowly rises as the tension rises.
Yeah.
It's a good touch. Right, you just did your job right.
Yeah, it worked out. You didn't need anything crazy in this film.
Yeah, and it sold it. It did itself. It did it well. But
Did you have a favorite character in this?
No, I was just kind of invested in it as a whole. I wasn't really like, wow, you're really great.
Apparently, people really liked Song. I'm gonna mess this up, and I apologize. But it's Song Kang-ho or Kang-ho. He's the actor that played the father of the Kim family, Mr. Kim. Apparently, people really liked his performance in this movie. What do you think about him?
His performance is fine. I don't feel like it's better or worse than anybody else's.
In a way, I feel like it's actually pretty standout in that at the beginning of the movie, we get a little bit of him, and I thought he wasn't going to be a major player. I thought it was mainly going to be focused on the son, as him being the main character. But you get a lot of the father in this movie, and I feel like I see a dynamic range with this guy in how he acts among his family, acts among his boss, and all of that. I could see it. I thought it was a pretty good performance.
No, he didn't sell his role any better or worse than anybody else to me. I believed everybody else's role pretty well.
I mean, there's nobody I didn't believe, but I did like his. It did stand out to me.
Okay. Here's the crowd follower. You didn't have any other standout characters or moments?
I think it's a good movie with some real heavy issues towards the end.
It didn't stick the landing, right? It did really good up until the end. I agree. I was pretty impressed. And then it ended, and I was like, oh, that wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
The ending is so pivotal, and you failed.
Yeah, it's the note that leaves you last with it. And it's not that the story in and of itself at the ending is bad. It's just that the details of how we got there are really bad.
In a film where we've given a lot of details to a lot of things. Though.
Yeah, it's just like we hit the crescendo, and then we're like, all right, we got 5 minutes, so we gotta wrap it all up. It's like, I couldn't have added like 2 more minutes?
It doesn't resolve well, but that's all right. Fine.
So you think definitely the best picture of all time?
It is not the best movie ever.
No.
By any means. Is it better than most movies I've seen? Yes. But
high praise from you.
That is pretty high praise. It's been a great pleasure discussing this good film,
Discussing the Parasite.
Yep, this is good old Parasite. But if this has been a pleasure for you to listen to, you let us know. Leave a comment, subscribe, you have suggestions. I like this movie, so now you need to pick a good suggestion. That's either on one side or the other. I'm going to hate it or I'm going to love it. I need you to pick one or the other.
Yeah, if we can get him to give a movie like a 2, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I would relish in just hating on that.
You could also go and talk to your own basement dweller, the one we all have. You could go tell him or her all about this discussion, our show.
When you bring them down some food, you bring them down,
a listening device.
Yeah, something they can listen on. You let them know it's been updated.
And you bring that down to them once a week.
Yeah, so you need to change your schedule if it's not on Monday. You bring that down on Monday. You go back down on Tuesday, you take that listening device back.
Definitely.
That basement dweller does not deserve nothing better than that. But we will help them live in their basement dwelling life. Well, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give this movie, I was debating this a lot, but I think I'm going to give it a 7.
I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10.
Have at us.